live and we'll be starting in just a couple seconds. All right, it's now 6:30. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, I am Julie Jordan and I am the chairwoman of the Glen Dems. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. As you all know, the Glen Dems' purpose is to get Democrats elected to local, state, and federal offices. We don't normally back independent candidates, but we knew how important the district attorney race was to improving our community last year. So we put everything we had into getting Jackie Johnson out and getting Keith Higgins in to this crucial and critical role for our community. We are thrilled that he was sworn in as district attorney for the Brunswick Judicial Circuit in December. And we wanted to check in with him now after a few months on the job and see how things are going. So Keith, I should say the Honorable Keith Higgins, we are thrilled to have you here tonight and we'd love to hear how things have been going.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak with all of you tonight. Without your help, I would not be sitting here today. It took the effort of the Democrats, independents, and even Republicans to get me elected. And I really do appreciate all of your support, Julie, and other members of your party support. Like I said, without you, I would not be sitting here today. I would not be your district attorney. I want to serve everybody in this role. And to do that, we've started putting an office together. To do that, we've started putting an office together that will reflect the community, that is diverse, and that has various viewpoints in it. To do that, I'm going to share the screen with you a little bit and show some things in terms of, if I can do it. There we go. So basically in our circuit, we have a 5-county circuit that is here. The pink area here is the circuit with regard to the 5 counties: Camden, Glenn, Wayne, Appling, and Jeff Davis counties. Within the circuit, we have 4 offices: Appling, Wayne, Glenn, and Camden. And within each office, we have basically the same type of personnel, if not the same numbers. But to start building the team here, we reached out all over the state and tried to get a diverse group of individuals, even starting at the top. We have 2 minorities in leadership positions: Yolanda Richardson, who's our director of our Victim Witness Assistance Program, and Robert German, who I promoted to be Deputy Chief Assistant DA over our Camden office. And that's more than a title. He's responsible for managing everybody in that office. We were able to get Ian Heap, our Chief Assistant District Attorney from Chatham County, Jody Poncell, a retired GBI agent, Barbara Bockham, who's our HR and budget person from Chatham County. Mimi Himes, we were able to get down to manage our Wayne County office, got her from Athens, Clark County. Jan Kennedy, we promoted her to Deputy Chief Assistant DA over our Appling County office. And then we're able to get Nigel Lush in from Gwinnett County to manage and be our Deputy Chief Assistant DA here in Glenn County. So within each of these offices, we have the deputy chiefs of the office, Deputy Chief Assistant DAs. We have receptionists, legal assistants, victim advocates, criminal investigators within each of these offices as the needs of those offices require. Like I said, part of our goal was to have a diverse office to reflect as best we could our community. And so far, we've been able to, circuit-wide, 37% of our employees are minority, or African-American, 7% are Hispanic, and the rest are Caucasian. So we have a higher percentage, if you will, overall circuit-wide than that which is in the community, reflecting our minority constituents. Within the office, we have when we end up hiring everyone who we have positions for, we'll end up having 51 full-time employees, We'll have 14 full-time assistant district attorneys under the same budgetary constraints that the office previously only had 10. And within the office, we have 3 divisions. We have our Superior Court Division, which is the attorneys and the legal assistants who are responsible for evaluating criminal cases, determining whether or not there's sufficient evidence to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and asking a second question, which is equally as important. Do we believe that the person is guilty? Because if we don't answer yes to both of those questions, that case does not see the inside of a courtroom. We then have our victim witness assistance program that Yolanda Richardson is the director over, which is part of our role is not just to prosecute cases and seek accountability for criminal acts, but also to assist victims and their families. And that's what our victim witness assistance program is all about. And then we have our investigators in our office, who supplement the investigations of the police department as needed. Now here in Superior Court, right now, because of COVID, as of March 17th of this year, we've got almost 4,800 cases that are backlogged, meaning that we need to take some action with them to get those resolved in one way or another. We just started with grand juries in December. We finished out the term of one grand jury and just started another one on March the 8th. We're going to start having our first jury trials here in Glenn County starting the week of April 26th. And we have trials each week thereafter in one or more counties of the circuit going on for about 5 or 6 weeks thereafter. So we got a big load to carry and a long way to go to get this COVID backlog down so that we can get cases resolved as efficiently and as soon as possible to give the greater degree of justice to victims and the accused, because as we all know, justice delayed is justice denied. So we want to get these cases into court as quick as we can and get them resolved. Now, the Victim Witness Assistance Program arm of our office, they help out victims and their families with regard to directing them to the Georgia Crime Victims Compensation Program to get restitution. They refer them to services that are available in the community, and they notify them of all court proceedings that are going on, among other things. One of the things that we're wanting to do is yes, there's a role with the district attorney to evaluate cases, determine whether or not there's sufficient evidence to prosecute those and to get a resolution on those cases. But then then we have the Victim Witness Assistance Program to help out victims. But the district attorney's role is even broader than that. As a stakeholder in this community and all the counties in this circuit, we want to affect positive change. We want to help reduce the level of criminal behavior within the community and make our community a safer and better place in which to live. One of the things that we're looking at starting is a more meaningful pretrial diversion program that will reduce those entering into the system. We want to look at getting youthful nonviolent offenders into that program, get them lined up with jobs or other services to get them on the right path to be productive citizens in the community. Another one of the things that we want to do in the pretrial diversion program, as well as afterwards, is we're looking to work toward addressing veterans programs and mental health programs. And that can be done through federal grants and also affecting positive change through reentry programs. If we can reduce the rate of recidivism, we reduce the rate of crime, we get people being productive citizens again, and everybody is going to be the better for it. So as I was talking about pretrial diversion, it reduces the number of crimes, it addresses them to various programs. And in the federal court system where they have this kind of program, 88% of those that participate in the program do not reoffend. Veterans issues is another big issue here in this area. As the slide indicates, post 9/11 veterans have the highest rate of service-connected disability compared to other vets. and 39% of those veterans have a disability rating of 70% or higher. Mental health issues, jails aren't the place for people with mental health issues. It does not do them any good. It doesn't do society any good, because it doesn't address the core issue or reason why for the behavior that got them there in the first place. On average, our jail here in Glenn County has 35 to 40% on psychotropic drugs. It's people in jail with mental health issues require special management, more attention, and they basically end up being warehoused without anything being done to help the problem that exists in the first place. If somebody just doesn't have a heart for people and doesn't really care about this at all, it's still the right thing to do, because it saves money. Number one, it's the right thing to do because it's about people and doing the right thing by people. But if you don't even believe that, it saves money in the long run. A 24-month accountability program that addresses mental health issues or veterans issues costs about half of what it would cost to house somebody in jail for that same period. So that's pretty much what we're looking to do here in the district attorney's office. Yes, address the criminal cases as they come, as they should be handled, doing the right thing, seeking and doing justice in those individual cases, helping victims, but we're also wanting to further reach out and help the community at large by making this a better place in which to live, by cutting down on recidivism, and by doing that, cutting down on crime. So with that said, I appreciate once again you allowing me to be here tonight and to speak with you, and be happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Keith, for that update. We've been getting some questions, and if you have any questions and you're on the Zoom call, please post them in the chat room. And if you're on Facebook Live, please post them there, and we'll try to get Keith to answer as many as we can. Couldn't help but notice that most of your executive positions are new hires outside, a lot of them outside the district. And so someone asked, how come, why did you feel like you needed to bring in some people outside of the district for these positions?
Well, on day one, the first work day of my term was January the 4th. If I didn't bring anybody with me, there were 3 assistant district attorneys left in the office circuit wide. So I had to bring people in, or else we wouldn't be able to do anything in the office. Essentially what I did ahead of time of taking office is I reached out to the other district attorneys' offices around the state where the incumbent had been defeated, and sent out an email anticipating that there might be some willingness to move and movement going on, as I had seen happening ahead of time here in Glenn County. And it wasn't a matter of intentionally bringing people in from outside the district. Those are the folks that happened to apply. We interviewed and we hired. Most attorneys in private practice, I made offers to attorneys in private practice in the circuit, but most attorneys in private practice make a whole lot more money in private practice than they will as assistant district attorneys. So you just can't hide, you're not going to get a lot of interest from individuals from private practice. So one ends up getting prosecutors from other prosecutors' offices or straight out of law school as a rule.
I imagine too, in some instances, it's helpful to get a large number of staff in, since you're changing the guard and how you do things.
That's true. I mean, we've gotten, you get various prosecutors from all over the state that come into the office where things were done a certain way in their offices, their previous offices. So you get not just getting new people, you're getting new ideas and new approaches to the way things are done, because otherwise you're just walking in the same path of the person who went before you. And that's absolutely not what I wanted to do.
Someone had asked, we know that there, especially because of the pandemic, there's a lot of backlogged cases. How are those being prioritized?
Well, first and foremost, we're looking at jail cases. Anyone who's in jail, we're looking at those and trying to prioritize those as best we can. Then we're looking at cases in terms of whether or not there are demands for trial that have been filed in the case that requires us to try them within a certain period of time. And so we're prioritizing, first of all, by who is in jail. Second of all, whether or not there's some motions that are filed that require us to try those cases sooner rather than others. And then we're looking at those cases by age, quite frankly. Once again, trying to get the older cases resolved first.
Do you feel like you have enough staff right now to be able to get all those cases moving forward?
No, we don't have enough staff right now. Like I said before, when we fully staff, as we are allowed to do under the current budget, which is a budget that was set before I took office. When I took office, we were already 6 months into the fiscal year. So we're carrying through on the same budget that had already been made for us, if you will. We're going to have 14 full-time prosecutors after we hire all the positions that we're able to hire under that budget. And we're able to do that by reallocating the money that was previously budgeted and reallocating it to hire more people, emphasizing prosecutors in that. But we're going to need more people even then. Generally, you need at least one prosecutor for about every 250 cases in any particular county. And we're going to need to add more prosecutors to be able to get just the normal job done, much less get the backlog resolved.
We know that there's some COVID relief because of the American Rescue Act, some funding coming into local and state governments. Are you guys going to be getting any of that money to help out?
I'm unaware of us being able to benefit from any of that money at this point. We're just now starting the budget cycle where we are putting in our budget request. I would say that one thing that we're doing that's never been done in this judicial circuit before is that we are actually submitting a detailed itemized budget to our county commissions. That is something that's never happened before. What previously had happened is just basically a request for a specific amount of money. Give us the same amount of money you gave us last year. And that basically went on for about the past 8 or 9 years, even though crime was increasing. New crimes were being established by the legislature, felony crimes that have to be prosecuted. And the same level of service, if you will, was continuing despite the increase in crime due to increased population. And like I said, new crimes, felony crimes being created by the legislature. So we're doing it for transparency reasons and accountability. And just because it's the right thing to do, we're submitting a detailed itemized budget to the county commission this time. And we are asking for a budget increase, but we're telling the county commission why we need it and what we're going to use it for.
Well, we are thankful that we have someone that cares about people and doing the right thing, in your office, because it's so critical, in this area. You're doing a lot of positive changes. How are you communicating? I know you're doing talking to different community organizations, but do you have anything in place right now to communicate across the Brunswick Judicial District on what positive things and changes are happening?
Currently, I don't. We're working on getting a website up that we'll make postings on in terms of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And we're in the process of getting that established, but currently I don't. Unfortunately, I lost my communications director to Senator Warnock. He saw her talent and took her on as a regional director. So right now I'm without a communications director. But we were putting some information out prior to her leaving a couple weeks ago.
Well, we look forward to having some of that, because I think, as people have become more participated more in the process of criminal justice reform, and they want to know what's going on and how things are changing. And so I look forward to seeing that. I'm sure a lot of people do. Okay, let's see some more questions. Could you please say some more about veterans issues related to your office?
Well, veterans, as many of you know, oftentimes due to their experiences, may have mental health issues as a result of post-traumatic stress disorder. Sometimes they may have substance abuse issues, and sometimes they may have both. So it's a situation where neither a drug court, accountability court by itself, or a mental health court by itself can address the issues that veterans very many times have. And so there are accountability courts, veterans accountability courts that deals with their specific issues that are in place around this state, as well as mental health court and drug courts. Right now, this circuit has a drug court, which Judge Stephen Kelly presides over, that addresses those with addiction issues, but it does not address those who have mental health issues, and does not address those that have a combination of both mental health and addiction issues. So there's a need to fill that gap, if you will, within the circuit. And that's something that we're looking to try to do, working toward that. It's going to take us dovetailing onto drug court, perhaps. It can be part of the pretrial diversion program as well, but it's going to take us joining and collaborating with other stakeholders in the community to come together and address those issues. And quite frankly, to get something like that established is going to take some federal grants as well to get that going.
As you know, this week we had some violence directed at the Asian American community. And one of these questions are, that violence towards Asian Americans has been at an all-time high. And many people have tried to undermine these incidents as not being related to race. Would your office work to prosecute people under Georgia's new hate crime bill?
Absolutely. If there is sufficient evidence in a case that that a crime was motivated by hate toward any individual because of race, gender, national origin, or for any other reason, or sexual orientation, we will prosecute those cases. The key is, though, there must be sufficient evidence to prove that the motivation is hate as a result of some bias.
Okay. Do you believe that it was a good thing to go ahead to have this hate crime bill passed in Georgia?
I think it was a good thing. Quite frankly, I don't think it went far enough. Rather than creating a hate crime, if you will, it basically simply created an enhancement to a sentence if it could be proven that the crime was motivated by hate. So it really didn't create a hate crime. It's sort of a misnomer in many ways. It simply created a sentencing enhancement on top of any crime that could be proven. So it did not create a special or separate crime, if you will.
And I believe it only extended the sentence like an extra 2 years. Am I wrong on that, or is that?
I think you're right, Julie. I think you're very right on that it did only increase it by about 2 years. So in terms of punishing someone for a hate crime, if you will, like I say, I don't think it went far enough.
You're getting some good questions tonight, Keith. Has there been any update in the Arbery case?
As the office was disqualified before I took office, we're still disqualified. So I have no involvement in the case whatsoever, have no knowledge about what's going on with it at all.
Okay. Another question is, do you believe misdemeanor marijuana possession deserves jail time?
I don't think that anyone, or I've never known anyone to get jail time for misdemeanor marijuana possession. It's generally a fine and probation. I do feel that as long as it's against the law, it's my sworn duty to enforce that law. It's not my choice to decide what to prosecute and what not. Some people may not agree with that, but I swear to, as district attorney, I swore to uphold the laws of this state. And that's one of the laws of this state. So as long as it's unlawful, that crime should be prosecuted. However, misdemeanor marijuana is not a case that would come up to the district attorney's office for the most part, because it's a misdemeanor and we prosecute felonies.
Okay, what do you think about the Senate Bill 9, courts, the Columbia Judicial Circuit, and cannot be composed of Columbia County, create a new judicial circuit for the state of Georgia? It's kind of out of our area, but do you have a thought on that?
I really don't have enough information about that to have a thought or an opinion on it, quite frankly. It sounds as if maybe someone is trying to create another judicial circuit.
It sounds like that. Let's see. Okay. Here's another one. What do you think about what's happening in the Augusta Circuit? And I am not familiar with what's happening in the Augusta Circuit. So do you have any idea? And what do you think about it?
I don't. I don't know anything about what's going on in the Augusta Circuit. Quite frankly, coming in to office on January 4th, it was our first work day. Like I said, we came into the office, we had 3 assistant district attorneys over our 5 counties that remained from the previous administration. I came in with 2 attorneys I was able to hire prior to starting. So we had a total of 6 attorneys, including myself, starting on January 4th with a huge backlog and a lot of cases.
Did we lose Mr. Higgins?
I think so, Julie.
Okay, let's give him a minute to come back on. If you want to, I've got some more questions being asked. So if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to put them on Facebook Live or in the chat room. As we're waiting for him to come back on, I want to remind people that we are opening the Glen Dems office again. It's beginning on Wednesdays from 12 to 2. Hopefully he's logging back on right now. So the Glen Dems office in Lanier Plaza across from Winn-Dixie will be open starting this Wednesday from 12 to 2. And then we will continue to expand our hours out from there. Bonnie, do you see Mr. Higgins?
Not yet. Watchful eye.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go on to another thing. Lately, we've been having a lot of legislative actions with the Glen Dems for federal legislation and state legislation. So please keep an eye out for our email blasts and our social media posts when we need you to call legislators and let them know how you feel about a bill. Sometimes we feel like one voice doesn't make a difference, but when all of us are calling, it really does make a difference. So please keep your eye out for that. Oh, hey, Mr. Higgins, unmute. We were just waiting for you to come back on.
Sorry about that. My internet went out for some strange reason all of a sudden, so I apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay. We're all used to the world of Zoom. Okay, let me see a few more questions. Can the voting bills being proposed by the state GOP be challenged locally if passed? I don't know if that's a DA question.
I don't believe they can be challenged locally. If they pass it as a state law, you've got to challenge that in the courts. And I would think that I don't know how one would go about challenging that. You would have to file a suit don't know if you could start out in Superior Court if you would initially challenge that in the Georgia Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you'd probably have to do that at on a state level. Okay, would you support partisan identities for future DA races in Georgia, or making the races nonpartisan?
Well, the way the race was this last time, it was partisan. There were the opportunity for people to run as a candidate for either party, and there's always an opportunity for somebody to run as an independent. My view is that the district attorney should be nonpartisan, and that justice doesn't belong to either party. That the district attorney should be nonpartisan. Quite frankly, to do the job as it should be done, the district attorney needs to be apolitical. And so I would favor the district attorney races being made nonpartisan.
And that's really one of the reasons you ran as an independent. I remember us talking about that.
It absolutely was. And by the way, 4 years from now, I'm still going to be an independent. So I truly believe that the district attorney should be nonpartisan, that politics shouldn't come into play at all with what a district attorney decides to do or not do in any criminal case. And to maintain that situation and to be apolitical, I ran as an independent, and I will remain an independent.
Is the DA office going to be involved in any proposals for police reform?
No, I don't think that's I think that's something that is taken up with regard to the legislature, the county and the county commissions at the local level with regard to that. So I wouldn't foresee, and part of being apolitical is staying out of any political controversy or issue, no matter how worthy one side or the other of that may be. So I wouldn't foresee the district attorney's office getting involved in that one way or the other.
Okay. I have a question. I don't know if this is part of your job either. In Glenn County, when people are put on probation, they have to pay cash to their probation officers. Is that handled by the DA at all, or is that something different?
Well, in a criminal case, if somebody's put on probation, they're generally sentenced to have to serve on probation. They have to pay what's called a probation supervisory fee. And that's part of the sentence that's imposed. So to the district attorney's involved in resolving a case and trying to work out a plea agreement if possible with defense counsel. And sometimes that's probation, and typically that includes a probation supervisory fee that's paid once a month, every month during the course of the probation. There are some things that the district attorney can do with regard to having to pay probation officers or a probation company in other circumstances. Sometimes when an individual gets a bond, they've been arrested, they've been put in jail, and they are seeking a bond so that they can be released on jail prior to having to come to court and answer the charges. Some individuals are placed on pretrial supervision with the private probation company, and as part of that have to pay a fee to the private probation company before they even go to court and their guilt or innocence is addressed. So that's something that the district attorney can do in terms of addressing, number one, whether or not someone needs to be on that type of pretrial supervision prior to a trial, and number two, whether or not they should be paying a supervisory fee while they're having to do that.
One of our viewers would like you to expand a little bit about your pre-detention program.
The pretrial diversion program is essentially a way to resolve a case without an individual going to trial and without an adjudication of guilt, where the individual is given an opportunity to do certain things, if you will, while on pretrial diversion, to address the issues that that person may have. And should they complete the program, the charges are ultimately dismissed. So they end up without a criminal conviction. They end up without the consequences of what a criminal conviction may have on their ability to get gainful employment. And they also have addressed the issues that may have brought them to court in the first place, whether it be addiction or what, lack of employment, whatever the situation may be.
Okay. Just looking through the questions. They've been giving you some good questions tonight, Mr. Higgins. As an independent, would you endorse any candidate for Attorney General in the 2022 election?
No, that's part of staying apolitical and part of staying independent is not taking a public stance to endorse or oppose any candidate at all.
Okay. So do you feel, I feel like we've asked you a lot of different questions today. Do you feel like there's anything else that we might have missed that you really want to let people know about?
Well, once again, I just appreciate all of you being here and answering and asking the questions that you've asked. I appreciate those of you who supported me. I appreciate those of you who may not have supported me, because I'm here to serve everybody regardless. And so, like I said before, I wouldn't be sitting here today if Democrats didn't support me. So I really do appreciate that. As we go forward, I'm going to need help. I continue to need help in doing the things that we're trying to do. I need individuals to be on a Citizens Advisory Council that I'm going to have in each of the 5 counties that we serve, and helping me to identify those individuals to be on those councils is something that I need, as well as helping me go forward and help establish the pretrial diversion program and address the mental health issues and the veterans issues that people are experiencing in the criminal justice system.
Well, I know a lot of our members and people that are watching tonight are very involved in what's going on in our community and would love to help. So if you please let us know when you're putting together those advisory committees and or councils, so that we can pass the word, because we definitely want to make our community better. I have a question here, but I don't really know. Okay, I'm going to ask you, Keith. I don't know if you know the answer. The chair of the Special Committee on Election Integrity, Representative Barry Fleming, was asked to resign from his Hancock County attorney job that was out in the news this week because of his support for perceived voter suppression bills. He resigned. What is the ethics of keeping him as chair of that committee, and should he be asked to step down?
Wow, you're right,
wow,
Julie.
That's a mouthful right there.
That's a very involved question that delves into an area that, quite frankly, I have very little, if any, knowledge about, and I'd rather, I don't have any answer for it at all. I don't have any information about that. So,
well, and that kind of goes into being apolitical, where an attorney, attorney job kind of coincided with being a state legislature, and can get you, and sometimes get you in some hot water. Okay, so that is all the questions that we have. I just want to thank you for being here, Mr. Higgins, and like I said, anything that we can do to help to get some of our members or community members on councils to help you out in making this community better and helping further, your vision for this department, we'd be glad to help. So I really appreciate you being here, and I think our viewers really got a lot out of your presentation tonight.
Thank you, Julie. I thank you very much.
All right, so right now we are going to go over a few things with the Glen Dems, and we've already gone over the office hours and our legislative action. We are also in the process, I know we just got done with elections, but we're in the process of recruiting people to run for the municipal Elections in 2021, those are nonpartisan. But if you are interested in running, we would certainly be able to help you get some training and point you in some different directions. We also are recruiting people to run for 2022. If you are at all interested, and if you'll please let me know, we're also going to send a link around so that you can sign up and get training opportunities. This is the best time if you want to run in 2022 to get trained and start getting your support together so that we can win and get more Democrats elected locally in 2022. We also have Mr. Christian Glory. He and Dr. Johnson are the chairs of our community outreach program and committee, and he wanted to say a few words. Christian? You're muted.
Good evening, everyone. No, I just wanted to let people know that we do have a scholarship for the young Democrats going out to, I believe, each high school. If you write an essay and also describe yourself as a Democrat, that's a $500 scholarship, 2 of them, and someone will be selected from each high school here in Brunswick. So that's part of our community outreach. And as well as we just have some other things coming up in plan. So we'll keep in touch with the community and let them know. And I believe there's more to that information. Julie, could you inform the people of everything?
Right. So for the past couple of years, we've been giving a Young Democrat scholarship to one senior from Brunswick High School and from Glenn Academy. Those applications have gone out to both high schools, and they are due by April 1st. So if you know a young Democrat, they don't have to be 18. If they're a senior and they've participated in any way in the political process in the past year, they are eligible to apply. So if you have any questions, you can let me know. Email me at juliejordan@glendems.org. And both the high schools also have information on the scholarship. So we are trying to keep Georgia blue in 2022. I know you guys like that. So we are going to keep working and holding our elected officials accountable and keep pushing for expanding Medicaid, for minimum wage, everything we need to do to make our community better, criminal justice reform. So please keep updated. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're not getting our email blasts, please go to our website, glendems.org, and sign up for our email blasts. We are going to be asking for volunteers. We'll be calling. And if you want to get involved, let me know and we will put you to work. So we appreciate you being here tonight and really appreciate all the hard work everybody's doing. And I hope everybody's taking advantage of their COVID shots so that we can meet in person next month. So you guys have a great evening and thank you for coming. And thank you, Mr. Higgins, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Julie.